Okay. Hey, everyone. Mark here, Mark Pre-Markets. Hey, thanks for joining me for another Bitcoin day trade analysis session. I also put Ethereum in the title today because I want to demonstrate how you can use the same techniques that I'm using for these Bitcoin day trades on Ethereum as well. Okay, I know Ethereum is very popular. Everyone seems to like that coin, more or just as equal for day trades. So we'll take a look at it. I think it'll be a good learning experience. Okay, so with that being said, here, let's get started. Okay, this is for educational purposes only. For investment advice, please consult a licensed investment advisor. Okay, now, just a quick hello. We got Steen, we got Bill, Elijah, Stacy. All right, cool. Good to see you all. Let's move this over to this over here. Okay, now, really quick, I have to update the Bitcoin trade, which I'm going to do. Look at that move, right? That's a 30-minute. This thing made a low of, what is that? 16,293 based on this chart. And if you look at the 8-cap chart here, I mean, it says 16,271. You guys know where my target is. Now, is that ridiculous or what? I mean, it came like 70 points and then turned. You have to get out of this. Okay, I'm gonna put out a market order to just get out at whatever price. I mean, 16.8. If you're in this trade, if you're in the short, don't hold this to break even. Don't give the profit back. This is not what you want to see when you are short. This should have went to my target. Okay, but the market said no. I guess the whole world had all their orders waiting there. Whatever, some news came out right there conveniently. I mean, look at this. So no reason to stay in this trade anymore. If you're short that Bitcoin swing trade, I'm giving you the heads up now. It would be a good time to get out and take your profit. Okay. So this thing, you're not going to get, it's going to be less than 1-to-1, but what are you going to do, right? This is not the kind of candle you want to see. I'm not even going to wait for this thing to close. I'm just going to send out a market order. Probably around noon, I'm going to wait, but send out the market order, get out of this thing, take your money. Okay. If you don't, hey, you're on your own. Thing is, this trade is risk-free theoretically because I had adjusted the stop to break even on Friday. So now you have a couple of choices if you want to give that a go and see if see how this thing plays around. But like I've been saying, this environment has not been good for like any type of home runs. And I wasn't even looking for a home run. I was just looking for, I wasn't expecting this right away. I knew we were going to get some noise. I was expecting noise, but this is ridiculous. Okay, for whatever the reason. So again, I don't know the news. Interestingly enough, this developed in an area, okay, that was likely to see this type of price action, and that's why I put my target slightly lower. Okay, that's what happens when you put targets at whole numbers. Anyway, so yeah, I'm giving you the heads up now. This would be a good time to just get out and take your money. Okay, don't let greed interfere. Well, I had this. I'll wait till it goes back. Don't play that game. Okay, so that's the story there. This closes this way. All right, that outside bar, we close like that and we take out the high. That's a buy signal. All right, it's not an ideal location, so we're getting the conflicting signal in a less than ideal location, but this thing may squeeze back up to here. It's possible. Why give the money back if you have some kind of profit? Why give it back when the market's saying I'm no longer cooperating with you? Okay, like when the market's saying that, why fight it? Okay, so I guess there was some kind of news today. What is this over here? Binance to move millions of XRP SHIB. Okay. So this is why. Is this the move? This is nonsense. Okay. Anyway, I don't know why TradingView had to put this here, this little thing. I mean, but to basically stimulate more. I don't know. Whatever. This can be a problem. Believe it or not. Now it's good that it's automatically hidden, but this can be a problem because it's going to stimulate people. All right. People have no idea what they're doing. you should make it a habit not to click on that. All right, anyway, so let's talk about day trade setups, shall we? So we're going to go to the 30-minute chart. First, I'm going to start with Bitcoin, and then we're going to look at Ethereum. So obviously, this was news-driven, whatever, nonsense, okay? There's some nonsense news behind that. It's nonsense because it doesn't really change anything, not really on the bigger picture. It's just people reacting to drama, okay? I don't see anything about the Federal Reserve. I don't see, I don't know. I don't see anything economic going on there, just drama. So here's the thing. I mean, this momentum right here, as far as the day trade time frame goes, that's bullish momentum. Okay, we can't ignore that. We now have this little resistance area. It's consolidating there, and that's an area where it should have rejected, but it's not rejecting. All right, this is like a fake out area. It tried to fake out a number of times, as you can see, and it's not pulling back. So there's strength in this thing, right? They got the morons buying. Okay, no problem. We, as a day trader, it doesn't matter who's buying what. What matters is we want to get on the right side of this thing. Okay, if the market can tell us what the right side is, that's what we want to work with. Okay, and not fight it. So don't let your opinions get in the way. Right? Sure, I have opinions, but I don't let them get in the way. So anyway, this is telling us that this thing wants to hold. Okay, great. So I'm looking for longs. It's that simple. Okay. Now this is the 30-minute chart. I anticipate a breakout of this consolidation, and perhaps we start pushing this resistance here, and we start working our way to the next resistance. Where's that? That's around here somewhere. Okay, so that's around basically 17 even, something like that. Okay, so that helps give me some reasonable expectations intraday. If I can get a long off of here somewhere, I mean, that's 200 points, right? About 200 points from here. That's somewhat within reason. I mean, reasonable is like 100, 150 points. That's reasonable. All right. And the stop should be probably around 70 to 80 points. That's what we're looking at. Okay. As far as our day trade reward risk. So now with that being said, let's jump over to the Ethereum chart. All right. Because I put Ethereum in the title. I want to see if it attracts any more, any more people. By the way, these streams, I'm definitely taking Friday off, and I'm going to take Thursday off. So I'm going to stream tomorrow, right? Like regular schedule, and that's it for the week. All right. I'm really behind on things, and I need this streaming time is actually not very convenient for me. And, I've done it now for over a month and a half, almost 2 months. And there's nothing going on here. Okay. I mean, I got my regulars. That's cool. And I appreciate you guys, but I'm not getting any new people. I'm not getting anything out of this at all. And I put a lot of effort into this, right? And it's a very inconvenient time for me. So I'm definitely I'm streaming tomorrow. And then Thursday, Friday, I'm off. And all of next week, I'm off. Okay. I'm not going to do the Trading View one on Monday either. I'm off. The only thing I'm going to be around, in the chat room and stuff like that. I'll be doing other work, but I'm not going to be streaming. Also, I am going to schedule the student meeting probably next Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay. I know, again, right in the middle of the holidays. I don't like to do that. Hopefully people show up to this one, but I'm going to schedule it. It's not on the schedule yet. I was hoping to do it like today or tomorrow or something, but I don't think I'm going to be able to, I can't schedule it now because probably no one will show up. Okay. So I'm going to give you some advance notice, but that I will be conducting. All right. Next week, the student stream, that's an hour long where I answer the questions for people that are in my training program, whether you're a previous student or a current student. Okay. So that I am going to do. All right. So let's talk about Ethereum here. I mean, it's the same story. Does this chart not look like the Bitcoin chart? I mean, it looks exactly like it. In fact, let's do this. Let's keep Ethereum over here, right? And let's change this chart over here to the Bitcoin 30-minute. All right, just so we can, look at the similarities. All right. I mean, it looks like we're looking at the same exact chart, does it not? I mean, it looks almost identical. So, I mean, that just proves a point that Ethereum is nothing more than a follower. It's just a mini Bitcoin. I mean, look at the current candle, right? Look at the pin bar developing on Bitcoin right now. Look at the pin bar developing on Ethereum right now. So if you're new and you think like Ethereum trades on its own, you got a long way to go, all right, as far as learning how this stuff works. So we have this situation here, right? So the Ethereum story is the same story. What am I looking for in Ethereum? Looking for longs. All right. Now, again, we're looking at the 30-minute chart. So we've determined the general momentum or the general bias. And you say, oh, I'm looking for longs. This doesn't look like a long right now. No, it doesn't. But the thing is, you have to respect this structure, okay? Not a single candle. So I want to find levels, right? What levels, where can I anticipate this long that I'm looking for? What are some levels that I can reasonably anticipate? Well, for Ethereum, it's going to be this level right here, okay? Right around this area. In fact, it's going to be a zone. I don't like to, the single lines, they can be confusing for some people because a single line implies the single precise price, but it's really not that. It's really an area. Okay, so the rectangle actually makes more sense because it's an area, right? This is the area on Ethereum where I'd be looking for a buy signal intraday. So what is that? 1188 around there, 1180 area. So that means 1180, 1170. What's this lower? What's the lower part of the rectangle here? That is 11. Is that 1188? Is that right? Yeah, it is. Okay. So basically, you can round that to like 1180, 1170, something like that. And right now we're fooling around just at 12 even. Okay. Look at these things pulling back. Outside bar on Bitcoin on the 30-minute. This thing closes. Well, we have about what? Just over 12 minutes before this candle closes. So let's see how those candles play out. But the point is, I'm determining my levels. So if I'm looking for a day trade in Ethereum, I'm looking in this area. Don't get caught in this nonsense earlier. Okay, people are going to be looking over here, especially if you follow nonsense oscillators like the RSI. They're likely to give you, especially if it's a smaller time frame, like a 5-minute, it's going to give you like an oversold readout, like somewhere around here, and oh yeah, it's oversold now. Meanwhile, the real level is here. Okay, so that's why it's so important to evaluate these charts in the steps that I teach you and get a sense of trend, get a sense of levels, so you have some sort of context and reasonable expectations. If you go by the Captain Obvious things on your charts, like the RSI and all those other things, you're never going to win ever. Okay, you'll win randomly, but it's just you might as well be playing a slot machine because it's the same idea. I know I repeat that a lot, but people, that just goes in one ear and right out the other a lot of times. People just want to believe that they can win and whatever, and you don't realize that you're playing a game that is almost impossible to win consistently. It's not impossible, but it's almost impossible. And when you add all the layers of complexity and human emotion and typical human behavior, your chances of winning are very low. Okay, very low. So in order to change that, you need to minimize all those obstacles, all those things that reduce your chances, and you need to focus more on the information that's going to help increase your chances. Now, I always tell everyone that there's no advantage to being a retail trader. We have absolutely no advantage. So optimistically, we're looking at a 50% win rate. Okay, meaning we're going to be wrong half the time. So, how do we improve that? Well, like I always talk about, the area that I focus on is behavioral, the mistakes of others, because people continue to repeat the same mistakes. And as long as people trade, I think there will be opportunities. I was thinking about this yesterday, people versus robots. Even if robots completely take over, but I mean, I just think it's hard to believe that we will have 100% algos, because the thing is, when markets trend, especially when the market has a positive trend, the investing public wants to get involved. So what are they going to do? They're going to resort to a robot and say, well, I'm not going to play myself. I'm going to play with my trend robot instead. I mean, a trend is still a trend. And as long as markets trend, right, that's the market technician argument, or the the technical analyst argument against that refutes the efficient markets hypothesis, right? They say, well, markets trend. So if a market can trend, that means it's not fully random. And that's true. We know that markets trend, right? As long as that truth exists, there's some opportunity. All right. Now it's just going to get harder and harder on the smaller time frames, but on the larger time frames, like the investing time horizon, I think there'll always be, as long as there's a free market, we should be able to capitalize on trends in some ways, because that's the market being less random, right? An imbalance of there are too many buyers, right? That's what that means. Or there's a large supply of buyers and not enough people selling. That leads to a bullish trend. So, and that trend can be sustainable over some period of time. Over the previous couple of years, we saw that bullish trend from the 2020 bottom, right, up to 2021 December, a year ago, basically. Okay. And, people never really, they're not mindful as to like what would be behind such a trend. Well, at least your typical retail trader, but that was all the Federal Reserve. Okay. That was all the stimulus and all the money that they were pouring into the system. Once they take the money out of the system, we have what we have now. And until they start putting money back into the system, expect nothing spectacular. Okay, that's the way I gauge it, and I think that's a good gauge to go by. The Federal Reserve, because they control the money supply of the world reserve currency, and they do things to, to manage the economy and to control inflation, and they make mistakes, all that kind of stuff too. The point is, they're the ones that start the party and they're the ones that control the party. So pay attention to them. Okay. Now, anyway, so rants aside, so let's talk again about this situation. So there's not much to do here right now, right? I have my support level. I know that we're generally in a bullish trend intraday. That's all I know. There's no reason to force trades. Okay. So this is my high probability area, and it's the same deal for Bitcoin pretty much, right? I mean, this is the area for Bitcoin right here. That's the area. So 16, what is that? 16.5, no, 16,650 basically. Right now we're fooling around at 748. So that's 100 points lower. Okay. Should I short that? You can, because like I tell you, as a day trader, you want to think on both sides, but you're going against this momentum. So what that means as a short, what that means is if you do take a short, for one, you want to do it at an opportune level. You don't want to chase a short going into a bullish structure. That's a bad idea. The whole world is waiting to buy over here and you're selling it there, right? That's not what you want to do. That means you have a reaction problem. The ideal place to be looking for shorts would be here. Okay, failed breakout type of situation. So that's, if I'm going to short these things, right? If I'm going to think on the short side, you want the market to overextend itself. You want the market to get into an area where, the momentum is likely to dry up. That's where you want it, not the breakouts. The breakouts are high risk areas. The fake out areas, they're risky as well, but I believe that the probability is more favorable because less and less people are going to be buying as this thing goes higher and higher, right? So it runs out of steam, right? If the trend is not going to continue, that's a fake out. And I mean, for example, right? Look at this tail over here. That faked out. Look at this tail over here. That faked out too. Okay. How about this one? That faked out, sucking all these people in long, and they fake out. So if the market can push into this area here and give me a signal, that would be the place for a short. So, and the same for Ethereum. So that's the game plan. Now, what time is the market going to make these opportunities available? I don't know. Perhaps sometime between now and the stock market close. So you have to sit here and you have to wait. Obviously, it's not going to give me any opportunities during my session. It doesn't look like it's going to. We're going to go to the 5-minute charts here in a moment. But that's the thing. So first you have your plan. Now, what are some solutions to this? Because sitting in front of your computer all day is not a very good use of your time. Okay. So you can set up notifications and say, hey, hey, TradingView, let me know when price starts pushing this area or price starts pushing a level into this area. And then, you get your notification by email or whatever, and then you can go back and look at your charts at that time. That's the best thing to do. Don't sit in front of your computer for 2 or 3 hours. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you're going to think you see things, and you're going to get bored, and you're going to take trades that you shouldn't take, and then you're going to find yourself in a losing position. And then when the real opportunity comes along, if you manage to get into it, then that's going to be your opportunity to make your money back. And then you can say, okay, I broke even. Now I need to make money. And now that you're going back into an area where there's no opportunity, right? And you see how that works? That's very typical situation. Okay, now look at how this thing just turned right around. You see this? This is the 30-minute. It just turned right around. So you see like how if you were shorting there, chasing this thing, following your RSI on your smaller time frame, oh, it broke this support. Yeah, it's a short. It's not a short. Okay. Like I just finished saying before, the whole world is looking to buy over here. It looks like they're buying right now. Okay, great. So, what do I do with that? I can't do anything yet, but we're going into this resistance area. So now would be a good time. Let's go to the 5-minute charts, right? So here's the 5-minute on Bitcoin. Look at this inside bar. That's interesting. But the inside bar was not in my buy area. So, could I have taken that? Yeah, you could have, right? It's in a fake out zone, but that's going to be riskier. All right. Again, of course, we can see this after the fact, but I'm not, if we're not in the buy zone, I'm not in the trade. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to buy this thing now. So we're going into that resistance area that I just finished talking about. Let's see how it behaves there. It's just before 10 o'clock. All right. Sometimes we have news coming out at 10 o'clock. We'll see if we get the fake out. Maybe that's a short, but now keep in mind, if I take a short, look at Ethereum right into the area here. If I take a short, we're going to go to the 5-minute now. Let me move my 5-minute Ethereum. Right? If I take a short, first of all I have right now is a location. Okay. And it's a location that's counter trend. So this thing theoretically should break out and make the higher high. That's what it should do. I'm looking for it not to do that if I'm going to go short. But keep in mind, the short side is highly aggressive and highly risky. This thing can go the wrong way on me very quickly if, especially if I short this thing too early, because I know I'm going against the momentum. Keep that in mind. Going against the momentum, it means expect less, expect, the trade to most likely be a losing trade. That's what you're facing when you're going counter trend. So let's see how it goes here. It's an interesting candle. The mistake you don't want to make here, especially if you're a beginner, is you don't want to chase this. Look at that. Is it 10 o'clock yet? Not yet. Look at that. Interesting, right? Okay, no problem. We blew through this area so far, which again, that's why you can't step in front. You don't see me stepping in front, not even with paper. Okay, you don't see me taking any shorts here, even though I identified this area as a short. Look, we're going right through it vertically. Look at that. So, okay, no problem. Now, here's what I want to check while we're watching this here. Here, I'm gonna switch this Ethereum chart for a second. I'm going to switch it over to the NASDAQ. All right, let me just see what's going on here in the NASDAQ. NSX USD. Aha. Okay. So there's a clue right there. Fighting a strong NASDAQ. What is the NASDAQ up here? That move right there is at 66 points. Where are we for the day? What does this thing look like? Let's see. What's going on here? Oh, look at that. Bullish pin bar developing. And we have the whole day. But if that NASDAQ closes like this and we get a buy signal, it's going to drive these things up, right? Again, Bitcoin, Ethereum, they follow the NASDAQ. For those of you that don't know that, basically when you trade an altcoin or you trade Bitcoin, you're in the stock market and you don't realize it, okay? So that's interesting. All right, so let me put the Ethereum chart back up here. And we're going to keep an eye on that. This is the US tech, right? Okay, so there's definitely some strength there, and we have to keep that in mind. Okay, so we're pushing these resistances. All right, now I'm going to switch my Bitcoin chart here to the perp chart. So let's go BTC perp, and I'm going to go to the Binance chart. Again, don't be distracted by that nonsense news. Okay, whatever it is, what it is. The market's going to do whatever it's going to do. Don't associate the market move with the news. That's a mistake. Even if the news is serving as a catalyst, the thing is that's going to get you into the habit of thinking that the news is the source of the quality information, and it's the worst possible source that you could make judgments on. Okay, so ignore the news, please. Focus on the levels, focus on the price action. So we have the higher high, and I mean, look, it blew through this level, right? We had what that other level on the 30-minute chart identified here. Let's just zoom out on this chart so I can draw that line up in that area again, right? Just over here. So, and we basically pushed right into this. Okay, so no problem. We're still in a fake out zone, but here's the thing. I mean, we went vertical through the zone. That's a short squeeze right there. So people that got short too early, right? A lot of people shorting in this area right here, saying, "Oh yeah, Bitcoin's blah blah blah. It's a short. It's a weak. It's blah blah blah." Okay, you get caught in this. I mean, this is them getting squeezed out. So I was open to the short in an extreme area. Now imagine all those clowns with their RSIs. Okay, oh yeah, it's a short over here. Yeah, right. Okay, it's not a short. The structure said long. Short is counter trend. It's highly aggressive. Look, we're still going. So what do I do here? Do I chase this thing? No, I'm not going to chase this. This new piece of information, right? Basically the higher high, that's a higher high. And you know, we're messing around with this resistance right now. But what do I do with this, right? What do I do with this information? I'm not going to react to it. I'm now going to adjust my levels. So this resistance right here, this old resistance, is now a support level. So I adjust, right? That means that we get a pullback into this area right here, right? Over the next hour or so, that's going to be a place to be looking for longs. Now, I'm on the 5-minute chart here, okay? This is no longer the 30-minute, it's the 5-minute. So this thing can easily pull back. What is this price we're looking at? 849. Right now we're at 941. This thing can pull back 50 points easily, right? So that's a possible area right there for longs. You know, maybe it doesn't want to pull back there. Maybe it wants to consolidate in this area here and then give me a continuation pattern. I don't know what it wants to do. The market needs to tell me. That's the idea. Okay, so I'm passive. I'm just saying, okay, new information, let me adjust. Right. So that short side idea, I was open to it, but the market never gave me the setup. It gave me the location, and then it cleared through there. You see what I mean? So you let the market lead. You let the market tell you, and then you adjust. If I had the short setup in this area, I would be open to the short. We don't have that. And on top of that, we have a higher high, which confirms the bullish trend. Does that make sense to you guys? So now here's the Ethereum, just comparing to Ethereum again. Now it's interesting because the charts aren't exact, right? Ethereum is now struggling a little bit, trying to give us that pin bar, and it's in that area, right? It's still in the fake out zone. Interesting. While Bitcoin kind of pushed a little further. So they're not exact, okay? But here's the thing with that. Here's where you should not be confused, right? If you're looking at both of them. I mean, if you're looking at the one chart, then you stick with your one chart. But when you're looking at the two, it helps to look at the leader. I don't trade Ethereum, okay? I don't day trade Ethereum. If I put on any type of trade, it's Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is the leader. Ethereum is not a leader. Keep that in mind. So that means that if you do look at Ethereum, you should have a leader as a reference point, whether it's Bitcoin or the NASDAQ. You should have a leader. Right. So when the leader turns, this tells you, then you know you have a better idea of what to expect here. So since Bitcoin is the leader, and this thing is showing me a little bit of relative weakness here, so okay, well, you're getting the short setup here. Shouldn't I go short? No, because Bitcoin is not giving it to me. That's why. Okay. So Ethereum does not trade in isolation. If Bitcoin looked like this, I would be going for the short. Okay. But even though I have the signal and I have the location here on Ethereum, I don't have the cooperation from the leader. So if the leader is going to continue higher, where do you think this is going to go? Do you think this short is going to follow through? It's counter trend to begin with. So you're just taking a very low probability trade, extremely low. Why would you do that? So that's how you have to sift out this information. Okay. that's how you have to basically put these puzzle pieces together. This is not a good idea for beginners, by the way, okay? Because there are some, well, I'm only showing you basically like simple visual information that we compare. You're not going to have the experience to make these comparisons, okay? You're going to sit there and you're going to obsess over isolated things like, oh, look, that's a pin bar. That's a reason to go short. But it's not a reason to go short when Bitcoin is going vertical. So that's why, you have to basically, as a day trader, you have to find every reason not to be in a trade. And when you run out of those reasons, then most likely you have a trade on your hands. You see what I mean? Okay, so I covered a lot of interesting things here. I hope you got something out of that. So we'll watch Bitcoin for like another minute or so, another couple of minutes, and we'll see if we can get the pullback. Okay, so no short in Ethereum, not shorting it. You want to play on the side of the leader. Okay, and as I just said, Bitcoin and Nasdaq, those are your leaders. Or you could use the S&P. It doesn't matter. The Nasdaq, S&P. S&P is the real leader, and the leader on top of that is the bond market. But the bond market's tricky, right? So that's why I won't use the bond market to lead my intraday ideas. Just use the S&P, or the Nasdaq. The bond market's a bigger picture thing. The bond market's more of like an economic thing, okay? And that's why I usually refer to the bond market when we talk about the big picture. The small picture, it doesn't matter as much. All right, we're only looking for momentum. So look, we have an inside bar right here. Look at this inside bar, right? Continuation pattern, bullish continuation pattern developing here. What's the high? 965. Okay, so that's tricky. Now this blue line, of course, that's the resistance area from earlier. That's a tough trade. All right, because this thing is in the resistance area. I see tails developed here. Okay, which means there may be some exiting, there may be some selling going on. I should not be in a hurry to take this continuation pattern, especially after a vertical move like this. So I would rather wait for the pullback. Okay, so pullback, and again, 50 points on this thing is nothing. You can wait for 50 points. It's not an unreasonable pullback. So the buying, the game plan for the long is I think much better off in this area right here. Okay, this is a much more opportune area. It's a lower risk area, higher probability area, right? You have that old resistance, good place to be going long, not chasing this thing here. Now, if we get an elongated consolidation, like we get a few 5-minute candles in here and it just doesn't pull back, and then you get the breakout, that would be more reasonable, okay? But taking one simple little continuation pattern into that resistance like that, it's a bad idea. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so hey Armin, how are you? Okay, cool. So that's where we are with that. So again, if you are new, hey, check out my Discord community. There's a link to the free area in the description. Check that out, all right? There's a lot of great information there, especially if you're new. A lot of people don't appreciate things like efficient markets and all that other stuff, especially all the stuff Bill put in that resources channel. A lot of people don't appreciate that information because it's not sexy, and there's nothing about setups or making money and all those other dreams that are pushed on you. What I'm showing you in there is the reality, all right? The reality of what this game is about. You really should be grasping the random nature, what efficient markets means, all those other things in there too, about managing your risk, all that stuff. That's the reality of this game. The market's not here. You're not going to make magical big profits. There are times when that can happen, but part of that, a big component of that, is money flowing into the market, okay? And that money comes from the Federal Reserve. As I explained earlier, we don't have that situation. So as long as we don't have that, you can forget that retail trader party right now. Now is a good time to learn and get these concepts. And let me explain why real quick. When the good market comes, and it will come again, markets cycle, right? We're still have this bearish situation, but at some point, the easy money will start being poured back into the market. When we have that situation, if you are still ignorant, you're still new, like you are now. We all start out ignorant. I started out very ignorant. If you're still ignorant and you don't know how markets work and you're still just dabbling in all that other nonsense and you're following fake gurus, well, you're not going to have the confidence to take advantage of the easier market. Okay. For example, when you have when we have the first bullish breakout and the first pullback, which is going to be the most opportune pullback, you're not going to know, you're going to, oh, I'm not sure. The market's still, oh, people are still bearish, and you're going to be unsure. Okay. Meanwhile, the people that are educated, who educated themselves in this tough environment, they're going to be confident. They're going to be like, oh, that's the pullback. That's the pullback. And we have the market change. You better believe I'm going to be all over that. Okay. And then when we start having that rising market, which again, is going to be hard to believe for a lot of people in the beginning, if you know what to look for and you know how to manage your risk, you will at least be able to align yourself. And there will be times when it would pay to be more aggressive. That aggressiveness is not something you can fake. You go, yeah, I'm going to be aggressive. Right. But the thing is, if you're doing it randomly, you're not going to have the confidence, because if you're aggressive in this environment, you're just going to get hammered. You're just going to give away all your money. Right. But when you're aggressive at the right time, it can pay off well. Now, I'm not saying you're going to make millions of dollars, but my point is this. When you understand the environment and you understand when to be aggressive, that's when you can perhaps put on a little bit of a larger position than you normally do. Okay. But the thing is, the environment will justify that risk. And that's generally an easier environment, like we had over the previous 2 years. Everyone bought the pullbacks. Now, here's what happens when you are ignorant. You buy the pullback, maybe you buy a little too early, right? So the pullback goes further and you go into hope mode. And then the market pays you for being in hope mode. Oh, it came back for me. It always comes back. It always comes back. We're in a bull market. It always comes back, right? And you're going to continue to do that. And it's going to show you rewards. And you're going to think you have the system that works. Fake gurus are going to be everywhere telling you that they have the system that works. Everyone's a genius until the market changes. When it changes, like we saw a year ago, everyone bought the first pullback and they got hammered. Okay, the first pullback after the peak, no, buy the pullback, and it broke. Right? And then people continue to buy. They don't change. They don't realize that the market has changed. And all the money that they made during the easy bull market, they give it all right back. Okay, that is a function of ignorance. So if you want to be one of those people, that's up to you. But if you want to be more informed, and I'm not talking about informed like garbage news, I'm talking about informed on as to how markets actually work and how to view them from the economic perspective, right? And you have an idea of, oh, okay, we're at this part of the cycle right now, and here's what I should expect in this part of the cycle, and here's how I can manage my investments and my swing trades and my day trades, right? When you're like that, then you'll have that confidence. So that's why it's so important to educate yourself now. Whether you work with my training program or there's a million training programs. But I can tell you, I came across one guy recently. I couldn't believe the prices. Okay, I mean the guy was charging $3,000 for like all these things you can totally learn for free. Okay, things that I know for a fact you can learn for free. He's charging $3,000 he had a whole list of them. And then, I mean, the numbers that I was looking, they're just ridiculous numbers. I can't believe people pay these prices. Okay. And meanwhile, I'm a fraction. Okay. I'm a fraction of those prices and no one wants to pay me. I got a few people, but let me tell you, definitely not a good time to be in this business. Okay. Bonds going lower. All right. Well, like I said, intraday, it doesn't really mean anything. Let's take a look real quick since you mentioned it. I mean, intraday, it's not going to mean much. Okay. The bonds, like I said before, the bonds, yeah, they're lower. Look at that. The bonds are breaking that support there on the bigger picture, but again, that's not surprising. This is a resistance area. I've been talking about this for a long time. So rates are rising. And, I don't know where the stock market thinks it's going, but this is another story. You can't use this for intraday information. Okay, you can't use that as a day trader. It's going to be confusing. Don't be confused by this. Okay, this is for bigger picture. The bonds are for the bigger picture. Don't use them for the smaller picture because they will drive you crazy. All right, they're slow. They're very slow, and they're more like for the economic side of things. All right. So anyway, this is back to the Bitcoin. right? The Bitcoin 5-minute on, it's back to the Bitstamp chart, but okay, look, this thing is not pulling back, okay? You see what I mean? It's not pulling back. So Ethereum is likely to give you a more opportune buy signal if Bitcoin can hold its act together here, right? And Bitcoin starts to push, Ethereum would be a nice intraday long, in my opinion, right, for a day trade. And then you use Bitcoin as your guide. What do you expect for next year? I have no expectations. All right. I don't have, you see what I mean? Like, that's a good question. But again, you have all the clowns come out with their yearly forecasts. Just go back to a year ago. Go back to a year ago and find people's forecasts from that time and see what they were saying, how great everything was going to be this year. And the complete opposite occurred. Okay, because no one can see the future. So I have no opinion about next year, but I'll tell you what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm watching the bond market. That's the start of the party, if there's going to be one, first of all. So I want to see that the bonds right now are not telling us anything good. So I expect maybe the earlier part of the year to be bearish. Okay, and then maybe 6 months in, maybe we'll see some changes. I don't know. It's going to depend on the Federal Reserve. I have no opinions. I will let Chairman Powell tell me what they want to do. Okay, and when he tells me and everyone else, then I'll have a better idea. We can only see a few weeks in front of us, right, as a swing trader. So, how do you invest? Well, use the economic cycle. Now is really not a good time. There's just no signs. So you can take that as a cue as, okay, well, maybe, we're near a bottom, maybe, but there may be some more bottom coming. There's no way to know. So again, the best way to go about this, don't have any opinions. Don't, especially if they're optimistic. That's even worse. Just don't have any opinions at all. Wait for the cues, okay? Wait for the bond market to cue. Wait for Chairman Powell to be a little more specific and start getting off this interest rate rising thing, right? When they start getting off of that, then we're probably at that point, we're probably closer to a bottom than we are now, okay? Rates have to stop rising. So maybe the market will start pricing something in earlier, I don't know. But if we're going to see that lead, it has to come from the bond market. So that's the first thing, right? I'm going to be watching the bonds. So I'm going into it, no opinions. I am putting an investment portfolio together. That I am doing because I think now, if anything, is a good time to do the research and have your plan so that when the bottom really starts to show, when we start to see signs, it would be a good time to start investing in particular high growth assets, okay, high risk, high growth assets that have the potential to have, like, those magical type of runs, and getting in a little early on them. Right now is really, if you're buying anything right now, it should be tiny. It should be small because there's still a lot of uncertainty. That's the first part. The second part is this. We have regulation coming, okay, for the Bitcoin and altcoin space. And it's completely uncertain. We don't know the outcome of that. So right now, everyone, oh yeah, Bitcoin this, oh, Bitcoin that. But the thing is, many of these altcoins may not be able to get through the regulation. Many of them are going to have costs that they don't have right now, because regulation means costs for them. They're going to be treated, if they're treated like securities, that means they have compliance costs. They're going to have to come up with all this regulatory filing stuff, and they're going to have to be like a company, like everyone else. Okay, so a lot of these coins, that's not part of their business model, and they may have to relocate to somewhere else, and that may affect their placement on an exchange. The government may say, hey, Coinbase, you can't put those unregulated coins, whatever, on your exchange that move to other countries. It's not allowed anymore, and that's going to affect everything, right? We don't know. I'm just speculating. We don't know. Okay, we don't know how. Maybe it doesn't have much of an effect at all. But usually regulation causes consolidation, meaning a lot of these coins are going to have to give up. Okay, there's like, how many coins are there out there? Thousands of them. I forget how many there are out there, altcoins. Many of them will have to give up. Okay, just like we see it with the stocks. Many stocks, new regulation comes along, a lot of them have to give up, right? Because they can't afford to be in the business anymore. So we will see. But it's a coin. It's not a business. They're acting like businesses. Okay, they just don't have to file. They don't have to do all the regulatory stuff that a public stock has to go through. So we have to see. My point is, it's uncertain. We don't know. So I can't arrive at any conclusions. I can't think that I know more than the market. The market needs to tell me. So, I mean, see, look, this guy says 95% of the coins will be wiped out. That's possible. Okay. I mean, I don't have any opinions, but that's certainly a possibility, right? And if that's the case, half of them are practically at zero anyway, and they're just going to go away, right? And we see those type of consolidations all the time when there's heavy regulatory activity. Okay. I mean, I remember back in 2010 when they pushed a lot of that regulation stuff. I was trying to run an introduce and broker, right, for on the forex side, and I remember when the laws came out, half the business quit, and I was working with a guy and I said, "Oh, this is good. Well, it's more less competitive." Well, now I realize, why they quit. For one, they were probably doing a lot of illegal things that would not have gone. They would not have gone through that regulatory process very well. Number one. Number two, it wasn't worth the effort anymore because the costs, right? So they all quit, and it was amazing. It was like an overnight thing. They all just quit. They closed their doors, right? And then of course I stayed in it like a moron, and I figured out why all those guys quit. All right, so again, it's the same cycle. Watch out for that. Okay, where do we find your growth portfolio? Kevin wants to know. I'm going to mention. Oh, look at that Ethereum move. See what happens when I'm talking too much. We could have done something with that, but anyway, all right. The growth portfolio. I'm going to highlight some of the stocks and things on my streams here. I'm going to do that, but the details, like how much I'm getting in, the target amounts, the allocations, all that stuff, that's going to be in my community only for members, for active investors only. Okay. So I'll highlight stuff and I'll mention things here and there, but I'm not going to share the complete portfolio. That's again for people that are interested in that information, who are willing to pay for it. Okay. Because I'm not doing all that work for nothing. So that's where you'll find it. You'll find it in my active investor community. I'm actually going to set up a channel just for that. Okay, for the growth portfolio, for all the information, all the updates and things that are going to go in there. Right now, I'm looking at I have about 10 stocks that I'm looking at. Okay, I want to look at them a little bit more, but out of those 10, I have a couple that I'm definitely going to get involved in. All right, but I'm not mentioning any of that here. All right, so anyway, good question. All right, you guys. So I'm going to leave you with that. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. I'm going to stream tomorrow. And we'll take another look at this again. This would have been interesting. We'll take another look at this again. And then after that, Thursday and Friday, and I'm off and all that. So I'll remind you guys then. All right. So anyone, if you guys have questions, you know where to find me. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you for watching.